Hi everybody, I'm here with you. I'm going live with Roma Katerpal. She is a mindfulness educator, parent. She's also the author of the book, The Perfect Parent. And I'm really excited to have her on board to talk about how to do mindful parenting. So mindful parenting is really just understanding what your objective is for your child, what kind of person that you want her to grow up to be. And your goal is to model and express and engage in certain behaviors to make sure that that actually happens. Well, we basically try and do the best we can, right? As parents, I know I'm trying to do the best I can. So that's the thing. What else can you do? So I'm just waiting for her to join in and then we can get started. So if you guys have any questions on parenting, please let me know. And we'll definitely be answering some questions as time goes on. Like I said, I'm super excited to be doing this with Roma. And we've been trying to schedule this for a while. Okay, so Roma, just send a request to join the live. Where do I do this? Okay, I'm gonna send a request to you. I sent a request to you, Roma. Yay, we're gonna do this.
There you go.
Hi, Roma, how are you?
Good. I sent a request a couple times and just I somehow didn't get to you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm so excited we're doing this.
I know, me too. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So excited. It's sort of like, it's a late timing for us in India, but guys, we have to schedule this properly with the West. So this is why the timing is for now. But I'm going to save this on my IGTV after this. So don't worry, for those of you who couldn't join in, we've got everything saved accordingly. So Roma, I already did a soft introduction of you. If you want to introduce yourself really quickly, let's get started.
Absolutely. I'm a mindfulness educator, and what mindfulness means is to be present and to pay attention to the present moment with curiosity, with openness, and a willingness to be with what is. And this is the tough part with children. I'm also the founder of Tools of Growth, where I help parents raise kids to be mindful, to think positive, and to do good. And you've already told about my book. I have about 8 different workshops that came out of the book. Curriculums actually for school districts. I train educators, recess staff, teachers before and after school staff, and bus drivers and junior lifeguards. So yeah, a lot of things have come out of the principles from the book. And this week I am launching my very first online classes, which the link is in my bio.
Ooh,
and
perfect timing. I'm gonna join.
They're open. Yeah,
I'm
that would be amazing. Thank you, thank you. I'll also be giving away a free PPE webinar, which is a Parenting Pandemic Essentials webinar on August 4th as part of the purchase, so that we can really acclimate to this difficult time that we're all in as parents, right? It's one thing to have the difficulty in the environment with what's going on with the pandemic globally, but what's going on in our homes, that is a whole different level of thinking.
Oh my God, my daughter was like, where are my friends? And I'm like, you're 3.5. Like, I didn't know that you had friends, but okay, you know, like,
you're only supposed to need me.
I know, why not me? And then, you know, she get like, I think she actually gets bored. So like we do a lot of imaginative play where where I'm a vampire and she's a baby vampire. Or I'm a dragon and she's a baby dragon. Or I'm a boss and she's a baby boss. I'm a mommy boss, she's the baby boss. So
oh, that's great.
Yeah, I'm mommy pirate, she's baby pirate. So we have different actions that each character does, different sayings that each one does, you know. So every time where she's baby pirate, she goes "arg, matey," which I think is probably the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life. So
cute. Yeah, definitely. You know, role playing stimulates imagination. So this is great with young kids, and also it keeps things at a playful level. I think our kids are growing up so fast, especially with technology. And I know that's, you know, one of our topics to discuss, right?
So I hate seeing my child scroll I hate seeing my child scroll the phone. It freaks me out. I don't like it. I genuinely don't like it. Yeah.
They're born really with this. This is just an intrinsic part of who they are.
It really is. How quickly they just acclimate to this and just how sharp they are. It's amazing. But anyway, so let's get started. Let's get down to the task at hand. So we talked about mindfulness, and I really liked what I really want to talk about is one, I think we talked about this, we mentioned what we were discussing. One is sort of like disciplining. How do you discipline your child in the right way? Right? So what do you like? What is the right way? Like my daughter has a temper tantrum left, right, and center. All right, she's like, I want to
Right.
watch Paw Patrol. Like that is her number
Yeah.
one temper tantrum. Okay,
Yeah.
so my I'll tell this honestly. The way I handle it is I say, Raina, I love you. I'm right here. Whenever you're ready to talk to me, in a proper way, I'm willing to talk to you. But I won't. I'm not gonna give in to this moment. Okay. I mean, I say it in a childish way, obviously, but
Of
and then I just
course, of
wait,
course.
or like I hug her or like sometimes I also try and distract her and like let's play this or read a book, and then I just wait, and then usually she gets out of it, and then I don't do it for her until I think it's
Right.
appropriate. That's what I do. But like, what do you suggest?
So the very first thing about, thank you for sharing that, by the way, about parenting and discipline is to understand the crux of the word discipline, right? Discipline immediately puts you in that place of authority. And when you put yourself in a place of authority with any human being, let alone a child at 3.5 or any age, there's going to be a tug of war and they're going to resist. So the big question becomes then how can we meet the child in the moment of where they
Mm-hmm.
are? And
Yeah.
really looking at not just the behavior that you're seeing, but what is behind the behavior? What was their day like? What are they throwing a fit about? What time of the day it is? There's so many things to incorporate
Mm-hmm.
into that temper tantrum to really be mindful. And this is what mindfulness is, to be able to stay centered yourself so you can read the vibes. We're
Ah,
intrinsically connected to our children.
yeah.
We're connected to our children in ways beyond words and feelings. We're connected to them vibrationally.
Yeah, we
There's
are.
their very first language is that sensory connection.
Yeah.
And when words come into play, that sensory connection, that sensory communication starts to take the background, because now we think that the brain is developed enough to communicate in words, so they should understand what we're saying. And yet they're not just incapable of doing that, but also there's the whole emotional landscape. There's the
Yeah.
whole emotional intelligence part of it. So there's so many things to consider. And of course, you're not going to be able to get into the child's body. And the truth is
Yeah.
they are
Totally
going to
not.
be throwing tantrums. So then the question becomes is how can I hold space for my child? So the
Yeah.
very first
100%.
step is to hold space for them. And this is not like, let's put you on a chair and, this is holding internal space for them. So
Yeah.
when we hold that internal space, this is one of the foundational principles of mindful parenting, is when we hold that internal space for our children, they're picking up on it. And sometimes they just need to cry it out. They just
Yeah.
need to get it out of their system, because what they're feeling is an emotion. Emotion, energy in motion. And
Yeah.
that energy is a frequency. It's a vibration in your body. And that frequency takes a little while to work out of your system. Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor has a beautiful 90-second emotion rule that she's done a lot of research on. She wrote this amazing book called My Stroke of Insight. And in that, she talks about the 90-second emotional rule. It takes 90 seconds for the surge of the chemicals, with the emotional chemicals that get pumped into your bloodstream, to actually move out of your body. So if you can just
Yeah.
buy yourself 90 seconds, tool number one, buy yourself 90 seconds and just hold the space for 90 seconds and let this play out. Give the child some time. But oftentimes, more than 90% of the time, it's not just the child. It's what we're bringing with us to that moment from what we've accumulated in our day. So being aware, is this me? Because the child's going to behave the way the child's going to behave.
Yeah.
This is why they are the age that they are.
They're
But the
so smart.
problem
Yeah.
starts is when parents start to be mindless, right? When we lose our cool, when we lose our presence. So even taking that 90 seconds ourselves. So that would be the, excuse me, that would be the very first thing, is taking that 90 seconds to see where you are, and whether it's a few deep breaths, it's a few swigs of water, it's holding your child and just sitting with them. And while they're crying, it's okay for children to cry. We always want to rescue and stop. And it's okay for them to cry. Just maybe rubbing their back and just letting them know that you're there without really doing about it. The more we let the frequency work itself out of the body on its own, the more we empower our children to emotionally manage themselves.
That makes sense. I like that. I like that. I mean, all my child now, like she still has her temper tantrums, and I try and understand what it comes from. There's certain triggers that I've noticed where she's worse. So those
Yeah.
I sometimes give in because I know that actually it's about something else. So I work with it. But I only started doing that, by the way, because I realized that she like outsmarted me when I tried to do the discipline way. So now, which
Always.
she totally outsmarted me. I was like, forget this. This is not working. Because what she would do is,
Yeah.
is I would be like, "Are you throwing a temper tantrum?" And she'd like be like, stop crying, and then be like, "Can I have Paw
They're so smart. Yes.
I was like, wow, it's like this is not working. This is not working. So then
You know, this is the myth of parenting, right?
yeah,
We think that it is our job to raise our children, and this is where the hierarchy comes in. This is where the authoritarian parenting comes in. This is where we're up here and the child is down here. But in essence, what's happening here is our children are growing us up. And I start every parenting talk with this, that I stand before you because my children have done a stellar job in raising me. You know, and this is what they do. My children are adults now, but this is what they do, is they challenge you. They hold a mirror up for you. They help you recognize your triggers. They help you be more patient, more compassionate, more kind. When I had my daughter, I had no idea that I could actually survive on like 4 hours of sleep and 3 hours of sleep and be a functional human being. You know, you're new,
yeah. Who
you know,
sleeps? I don't know what this
parenting.
sleep is.
Right?
What
And
is
so
it?
these transitions, these transformations, this growing up happens because of the presence of the child. So this goes both ways. The teacher lies right in front of you. As you teach, you learn. So this teacher-student role, this teach and learn role is very much integrated. And this is the vibrational frequency that I'm talking about. This is the presence, the largeness, the essence of this can't be matched.
Yeah, I love it. I really like that. I think that's very key. So stay in the moment, breathe, let your own emotions pass if you're having them, hold space for your child, and understand what time is it, what could her triggers be, what it's really about, and let her express herself. Right? Is basically
Absolutely.
the crux of it. I love that. I think that's wonderful, and I really think that adds a lot of value, even to how I plan on moving forward with my child. I'm joining your classes too.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So my question is then, like, say, let's remove the word discipline, okay? Let's say forget it. But say I would like for my child to have a certain schedule, let's sleep at a certain time, let's wake up at a certain time. This is the time I want you to eat. I'd like for you to eat on the table. Like, would you suggest more modeling that behavior and then automatically will she follow it? Or how would you go about creating like a proper routine for a child, as opposed to, instead, if you're saying that we don't want to discipline our child, that is no longer a hierarchy, then how would you create structure for your child?
So structure is really important, and big difference in structure and discipline. You hit it right on the head there. And I know you know this, and that's why we're going there. Structure, guidelines, boundaries, so important for children. Otherwise, as human beings, human doings, we can run amok, right? We can run wild. So it's important for us to create that structure for the kids. However, as you said, modeling that structure, modeling that behavior comes first. So if you want them to sit down and eat at a certain time because their bedtime is at a certain time, then making sure that you're modeling that behavior, that you sit with them, not just tell them it's your time to eat. So this is, parenting is all age appropriate, right? You have to be the one that's constantly morphing and changing. I mean, for us to think that I'm the parent and this is the way I do it, you're doomed for failure. You're doomed for chaos. You're doomed for disconnection. You're setting yourself up for disconnection. So modeling that behavior is creating the environment, right? When we go to a club and we go to, or a bar or whatever it might be, the environment is of everyone sitting, having a drink, socializing. When you go to the temple, the environment, nobody has to tell you how to behave in a temple or behave in a bar. We intrinsically know that as human beings. So really creating that similar type of environment at home is actually modeling it yourself and having it in the air that the children breathe, because then it comes naturally. And not to say that they're not going to rebel. We're not monotonous either. As human beings, the regiment, that doesn't work either. So it's all about balance. right? Giving that structure and then allowing the freedom to play, allowing for the routine to break sometimes. Because what happens when we get so stuck to our routine, when we become so linear and so autopilot that, we lose the natural flow of life. So it's a combination. It's the sweet balance of giving them that structure, but giving it from a place of loving kindness, from a place of
Yeah.
softness, from a place of gentleness, and being okay when the routine is off. This actually motivates the children intrinsically to stay more on track with their boundaries, with their guidelines, and with any sort of environment that you're creating for them.
I like that. So model, but also be aware if the child has needs that need some variation from it. Be mindful enough to understand that and do the best you can. So if you're more accepting also of yourself, then you'll be more accepting of your child, right?
There
Yeah.
you go. You hit it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. If we embody that ourselves, if we embrace that sort of living, that sort of modeling of balance within ourselves, if we hold that in our inner landscape, then, we already have the skill for it. Then we'll be able to do that with our child because we'll be able to understand them from the way of being human, not just from the way of being their parent.
Yeah, and when you love someone so much, like love is like, I swear, the most motivating thing ever. You know, that love can change and move mountains. I would say that the majority of my emotional and maturity comes probably from my child, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, how it's like called rapid transformation. I will give my child so much credit. That's
It
love. Love does
really
that for
is.
you.
It really is. And when we condition love, we're actually, how should I even say this? When we condition love, we uproot it,
Yeah.
right?
You
We
feel
take
the
the
pain,
roots
right?
of
You
it.
feel your heart hurt when you condition
Of
love. I
course.
can sit whenever I try to condition my love, I can sense all I feel is pain. It's actually it's interesting. You know, they say like
Yes. And
emotion.
this is mindful.
Huh? Sorry?
I'm sorry, we
What
lost
did you say?
connection for a
Yeah,
second.
you said this is
Um,
your what?
and
I'm sorry.
I said this is really at the heart of parenting, is putting putting forth a love that's untainted, that's not based on conditions. If you do this, then you get this. When you do this, then you get this, right? And yes, of course, you have to model completion of tasks. You have to model finishing of the meal, but not to a point where you're coming from a sense of hierarchy and authority. Parenting is not a dictatorship, it's a directorship, right? It's not a power position, it is an empower position.
I
And
like
so
that.
when we're to empower our children, we really have to know that we need to hold our own power so that we can give it to them.
I love that.
And this emotional up and down makes us lose our power. It's the same as bullying or being pushed around or bossing somebody around. It's really the same, but
Yeah.
it's on this child parent level. So really going back to the core, the essence, as you said, Kiran, the essence of the connection. The connection is based on love. There's no purer connection than the one that we have with our child, because we can walk away from our parents, we can change our spouse, but we won't do this with our children. We won't
Yeah.
let this go. We will work to our nth breath, trying to
Yeah.
make sure that we
I
are
will.
connected with our
For
children,
sure.
and creating that environment takes effort, takes presence, takes dedication, takes motivation. You can't just say, oh, you know what, I know how to do it, and I can, I have a sitter who's great, or I have help at home who's great, or I have a grandparent who's great that's going to do this for me. You have to model that presence yourself. And once you dial into it, it's like a skill. We go to the gym for a reason, right? Because we know the long-term effects of that. Similarly, when we build this mindfulness muscle, this consciousness muscle, this awareness, attention, all synonyms, right, of the same word. I'm just trying to distill this down a little bit so it doesn't seem like, oh, mindfulness is like a style of parenting. It's not. It's a way of being yourself.
Yeah, I love it.
And
That's
you
what I'm
are,
saying. It's totally hitting. So it's hitting very deeply.
yes, Yes. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a way of being. So connect with your child,
Hmm.
understand them while you understand yourself. And when you model,
Yes.
say, right, it's really like the way that there are a lot of parents that believe that, the child should adjust to you. A child should adjust to the
Mm.
parent. I don't think that's true. I think that like you sort of adjust to each other, but I probably adjust more to my child. Like,
Yes, and good luck with that, right? Good luck with that assumption of the child is going to fit into my lifestyle. We have brought another human being,
yeah,
another life into this world.
yeah,
What gives us the right to assume that they're going to fit into a model that we've created, a checkbox,
exactly,
a perfect puzzle piece? They're not. They're constantly morphing, changing, growing, just as we are.
exactly, exactly.
So keeping that in mind, I'm so sorry. At a time like this, to wake up with a cough is, what's going on here?
It's probably just the air is dry.
Yes, yes, exactly. This is,
Yes.
I ran from my yoga to here.
Humidifiers are so good to have in the house. I love them.
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, so we
Thank
were saying that it's really we adjust to our children. We brought this life up. We brought this life, and it's true though. My habits are designed in a way to help my child. If we wake up, we do when we wake up, we do gratitude, so we have gratitude moments. We do like a little prayer. So that's something that I teach her. What are you thankful for today, Raina? Today, for example, I think she was thankful for her dinosaur, her like purple
you.
dinosaur. So, I was like, okay, very good.
Yeah, and this is such great important in my workshops, in my course. I call this the music, the musical notes that play in the background. If
Hmm.
we don't have these musical notes of gratitude and compassion and kindness and patience, if we don't have those playing in the background, then we lose our rhythm in the dance of life.
Yeah.
This is a dance. It's a coming together, and this lasts a lifetime if we're lucky. I know so many parents who've lost their children, right?
Hmm.
And I do that kind of work with parents all the time as well, and the grief that goes around that. So not that we should live life from that perspective. By no means is, shouldn't have a grim outlook of being, on this fight or flight, that let me just make sure that I harness every moment just in case I lose my child, and then what, right? But it's really coming from that true essence of love and not fear.
Yeah.
And knowing that this is your responsibility. And we do so many things to serve the world, right? We take up all of our charity causes and the fundraisers, and I want to help this, I want to help that, and we support all these causes. Why? So that we can leave an essence of goodness that emanates from us, that starts from us into the world,
Yeah.
right? We have that opportunity every day with our children.
Yeah.
If you
Absolutely.
do
We do.
nothing else, if for your entire lifetime you do nothing else, and just focus on being attentive and conscious and mindful in parenting and present in parenting, and knowing that every stage and phase of life is one where I will morph, I will change. And Kiran, it's great to have these conversations conceptually, but when
Yeah.
you're in the moment of your day, when you're in the moment of the heat of the busyness of 1,000 things going on in your schedule, your work, we all have to work, and we all have family, we all have issues. This
Yeah.
is the ride in human nature. And
Yeah.
then you're expected to bring this complete presence and consciousness and mindfulness into parenting. It takes time, and it's a muscle you can build. This is why I'm so passionate, because I have some really basic tools of mindfulness, emotional intelligence, effective communication, and they're all science supported, that can really help us anchor this very natural part of ourselves. The tagline of my book is 5 tools for using your inner perfection to connect with your kids.
Yeah.
Very often I'm labeled the parenting expert, and I correct it every time, that I am going to help you be the expert of your child. because that is your job. I'm not the expert of your child. Neither am I the expert of parenting. There's no larger umbrella. There's no manual to parenting. Every
Yeah.
child is different. I'm different. You're different. My spouse is different. Our children are different. Two children are completely different. There's so many dynamics. And so then our job to constantly flow is difficult. It takes some work. However, it's a muscle that can easily be built. It just takes a little practice and it takes a little time. And the most important part is it takes that willingness. It
Yeah.
takes that self-motivation of connection, of presence, of trust to build that capacity. It's a quality within you. It's a capacity. Attentiveness is a quality. It's very different than concentration or focus. It's much more gentle than both concentration and focus. So building that quality, building that capacity takes a little bit of effort, but it can easily be done. And the sooner you do it, the more connected you stay with your kids. That's the point,
Yeah.
is to keep that connection and to build
Yes.
that trust. Yeah.
And I would say, guys, as moms, we all beat ourselves up when we fall down or when we think we made a
Yeah.
mistake. I would say that, you know, when I try and improve myself, I improve myself now a lot. It's easier for me to improve myself because I improve myself for my child. So, you know, I have a tendency to do that. I'm always the person that is like, I should have done this, I should have done this better, you know, whatever. And I can really criticize myself. So I'm trying not to do that because I don't want my child to learn the self-critical sort of thought process. I really don't.
Love
I want her to learn that that this life is frankly random. We're very lucky to have whatever we have. Do the best you can. Enjoy
Yes.
it. And that's all you can do, and just keep getting up every day. All you can do is do the best you can.
Absolutely. And you know, you really hit on a key note there, is mistakes. Mistake. It's a take you've missed.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a take you've missed. You'll get tons of those again. And
Yeah.
really throwing yourself into the quicksand of I'm not good enough. I didn't do a great job. You have to then rise from it, right? Eventually, then you have to rise from it. So it really, you know, managing yourself is that first step into parenting. Managing yourself is that entry point into this shift, this transformation. It has to happen within you first. And it's not that you're going to be a whole new person and I'm a mindful parent now. And it's not egotistical. It's more from your essence. It's more from your core, from the natural goodness that you are.
Yeah. And connect with that as much as you can, because that's important.
And it's work, important. Guys. It's work, all of you. This is not, you know, it's not parenting, you know, like they say medicine is a practice. Parenting is a practice.
It's hard.
It's constantly in flux.
Yeah. And I would try and also say that, like, because a lot of women, I don't know how many, you know, I don't know about the women on this group right now watching this, but a lot of women confuse goodness with pleasing. Goodness is not pleasing, all right? So I don't want my daughter to learn to please everyone. I want her to learn to be a good person, to have a set of ethics and values and to abide by them. But I don't want her to learn that she has to make everyone around her happy in order to feel good about herself.
And that takes effort on our part, Kiran. That's a great point. It's one of the big rumblings in parenting, right? It's what makes us erupt, and it's what disrupts parenting and the parent-child connection, is this need to be perfect. Right? And this is the title of my book, The Perfect Parent.
Oh yeah, I was raised to be perfect, by the way. Okay,
right,
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a disease, you know. It's a dis-ease in your body.
It totally
and that
is,
perfect. What is perfection anyway? And I titled the book The Perfect Parent to really spotlight and to rewire ourselves on what perfection really is in the parenting paradigm. Perfection. There's nothing greater than this parent-child connection in this natural order that this child came into your arms. This particular life came into your particular life in a moment of time, much beyond our grander design of life, much beyond our doings and beings. That is a moment of perfection. And
Yeah.
that is the only perfection that we need to embrace, is this is the perfect child for me. And I am the perfect parent for this child, because no one knows my child better than I do. Every rolling of the eyes, every squinting, every body language, every movement, every tone of voice, every swing of the hand. We know when our kids have all of that body language going on, right? We know exactly what they're going to say before they even say it,
Yeah.
right? There's perfection in that. There's an
Yeah.
alignment in that. And coming into that natural perfection and not having this ideology of doing everything right, getting everything done, and doing it in a certain way and pleasing society, which is a big part of our culture, is what will people say,
Yeah.
right? What will
Yeah.
people say? And this is where the disconnects are. Unfortunately, in our Indian parenting, and a lot of the South Asian parenting, we come from this place of authority in parenting. We give this ocean of love and ocean of gifting and ocean of uh, even presence, family presence. And then we have this underlying condition of, I am doing this for you. I have done this for you. We have this underlying sense of authority that you owe me.
Mm.
And we have these expectations from our children that because I have raised you, you owe me, so you are to please me.
Yeah, but in actuality, we do it for ourselves, right? Like in
Mhm.
actuality, whatever we do it for ourselves. We want to do it.
We do, we do it
Yeah.
for ourselves. Kiran, if I ask you this question, and I pose this in my parenting classes all the time, is what made you, motivated you to become a parent? So there's a
Great question.
question. What motivated you to become a parent? Why did you become a parent?
Um,
Right? This is my point.
wow, this is a great question. I
This
became a
is
yeah.
my This is my point. I mean, we can get into this, and I know this is a limited time that we've set aside for this. It's all in the classes, but understanding why we became parents in the first place. When you go to school, why you're going to school, to train and hone in a skill because you want to be XYZ. When you want to strengthen your body, whether it's for weight loss or muscle strength or energy or well-being, we have a goal in mind. That's the goal. That's why I'm going to the gym or working out. And then we come into raising human beings, bringing human beings with
Yeah.
no sense of what is my intention? What do I want out of this ride in parenting? Now we're very clear what we want out of this ride for our children. We're crystal clear about that. We want them to be, here's all the things I hear: successful, whatever that means, happy, we want them to do good. And this is the tagline of Tools of Growth of my company: raising kids to be mindful, to be happy, to think positive, and do good. Right? In
Yeah.
a nutshell, this is what we want. Even when they don't do positive or choose positive, we want them to be able to be in that think positive mode so they can learn and they can grow and they can be happy and they can be mindful. We want them to do good for themselves and we want them to do good for others. This is
Correct.
what we want. This is in a nutshell, this is what we want for our children. But
Yes.
herein lies the question: what do we want for ourselves in parenting?
Mm. So what do you want for yourself in parenting? And when people answer that when people answer that question, what actually are the answers you hear? And what did you decide for yourself?
The relationship.
Mm.
And that comes from connection. That comes from presence. Because when all is said and done, and your kids have gone off, and you've done your parenting work of the day to day, we hope always to be parents, but you've done the day to day. When you look back, and if you don't have a good relationship with your child, it's really not going to matter if they go to Harvard or if they're the president of the United States or they're working at McDonald's flipping hamburgers. It's really not going to matter if you don't have a relationship with them, if you don't have a connection with them.
Yeah.
And then what are you left with? You're left with the guilt, the doubt, the worry for the rest of your breathing life. Did I do a good job with my children? I messed up. And that connection, that relationship building, this intention needs to be in the forefront when we parent our children now, in the moment of when you're tugging with the device and doing the back and forth, give it to me, no, it's mine. And the child throws themselves on the floor and throws a fit, to the child who wants to go hang out with their parents at age 10, 12 and doesn't understand, this of the pandemic that you've, enforced in your house, or even the parent who has that teenage child that, doesn't want to stay connected with you anymore, right? And doesn't want to at the forefront, then obviously, keeping this intention at the forefront, then obviously we'll be able to make connections out of disconnections. Believe me, you are not going to change the trajectory of your children's decisions and mistakes that they're to make by being a mind. They're destined to learn what they're going to learn based on the decisions that they make in the moment. But what you will be able to do is you will be able to stay connected and have a relationship with them and be there for them. Literally, be there. I got your back. Be there for them.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's actually the way to, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Yeah, that makes sense. And that's all I really want, is I always want to be connected to my child. Genuinely. I just want her to know that I'm there for her, whatever she does. Because at the end of the day, look, as human beings, we are all going to suffer. We are all going to struggle, and that is the nature of life. So I can only do so much to protect her. But beyond that, she will have to learn and she'll have to experience life. And I would like to be there for her, to help her when she does that in a very supportive, kind, and loving way, and not in like, I'm so scared that you're going to suffer kind of way, that I will do anything.
Yeah. Fear and love, right? These are the two extremes of emotions. All your kindness, gratitude, connection, trust, all that falls under love. Under fear is all your anger, disconnection, jealousy, hatred, all that falls under fear. Those are all fear-based, right? The fighting and the hierarchy, all that is fear-based. So choosing every day, where am I going to come from? Am I going to come from a place of love? Am I going to be egotistical in parenting? Or am I going to come from a place of being in the core of consciousness, in the core of mindfulness, in the core of attention and awareness? And when we do that, we might not be able to change the life that our kids are going to have, or the mistakes and the decisions that they make that could affect them their whole life. But you are going to walk away or be there for them feeling, I did the best that I could. I did everything that I could, and it's work in progress.
I like that. I really like that. So I think it's already been like 45 minutes. Does anyone have any questions? We should do another one on children of, maybe divorced parents or something, how to handle that situation. I think that's a really good topic to talk about too. But does anyone have any questions? If you do, ask now. Otherwise, we're gonna end this and do another one soon. I have so much food for thought, Roma, and I'm definitely going to be joining your classes so I can be a much more mindful mom. I want to do the best I can for my baby, which I'm sure all of us mothers do, right? We just that's all we want, like we don't sleep, we barely eat, we run around like crazy, like they're constantly on our minds. Yes. We want to do the best we can, but sometimes you just don't have the tools, and you have the tools. So I'm looking forward to using some of them.
Yes, and this is it, coming from that place of love is every parent's internal communication landscape. It's the background of who they are. We want to do good for our kids. We want to be with them. We want to love them. But what happens is the intention that we have doesn't get translated into the behavior, right? And therein lies the disconnection. And so just having some tools in place that you can go back to constantly to make sure that you stay on that bridge of connection. That's the goal here. Thank you so much, Kiran. Thank you for having me.
Create Impact is asking, where can you get your course?
Okay, good question. So we're on Instagram. So if you go to my handle, my link is in the bio. It's a Linktree link. You hit the link and you'll go to Mindful Relaxed Parenting Workshop, or you'll go to School of Growth, and that's my Tools of Growth, School of Growth. And as soon as you hit it, you're going to see all the classes that I offer. This is my first parenting class that I've launched. Teacher training coming up soon because I teach heavily in school districts as well. So that's coming up soon. But yeah, it's easy. School of Growth, or you can go to courses.toolsofgrowth.com.
Amazing. So thank you guys. I'll definitely be tagging Dr. Roma so you can all see her profile. And this was great. And let's do another one soon. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate
Bye.
it. Bye.